Okay. So in the radio buttons, few basic things what we discussed is about radio buttons related mechanism. They use a mechanism called what? Mutex. You can use radios for selecting one or multiple options, but radios will not allow to deselect. That is the reason we have to implement mutex. How you can define mutex for radios? To define mutex for radios, all radios must have same name. They must have same reference name. Then they will exhibit mutex. Otherwise, every radio will be independent, individual. Here, one more point is there. Yesterday, I showed you that option. Another point, today we will learn some more. Another extra point is you can make the radio selected by default by using which attribute? Checked. Normally, radio buttons are not selected. If you want radio buttons selected by default, then you have to use checked attribute. So that always that radio is selected, we have to use input type radio, name some gender, and we need a checked attribute. Some male or female like. So we need to define checked attribute to make the radios selected. Here, one more important point is actually radio buttons submit on as value. Radio buttons submit on as value. Then this will become a problem because we don't know which radio button they selected. All radios will submit on as value. Then it is difficult to understand which radio is selected. So all radios have same. For example, see here, we are running this. In this, I selected male and click on register. Then it is going to submit gender on. I selected female and register. That's also submitting as on. Then which radio selected? Difficult. So whenever you are using radios, this is another important point. Every radio by default submits on as value. So it is not enough for finding the selected radio. It is not enough for finding the selected radio. Hence, every radio button must have a value, attribute. Defined with some reference value. This is very important. Radio buttons usually submit the word on as value. If they submit on as value, we don't know which radio they submitted. Whether they selected male or selected female, we can't find. And for that, what we have to do? So we have to make sure that every radio button is having a value. That means we need to define like this. Input type is radio. Name is gender. Value is male. Similarly, this word is male. So you have input type as radio. Name is gender and value is female, like this. And text is female. That's how we need to define. If value is not mentioned, then it is going to submit the word on. So whenever you design radios, make sure that radios are having a reference value also. All radios must have same name and all radios must have a value. You see now, I am defining this gender as value male and the value as female. Now it is okay. I remove that checked here and you can see these are two radios. I selected female and register and it submits gender as female. I selected male and register, it submits male as value. So it's important that every radio should have a reference name and a reference value. These are important. And you cannot give checked for both of them. If you give checked for both of them, only the last one will be selected. So always define checked only for one. Out of all, one can be checked. So these are all about radios. So how to design radio, how to define name and value. So when to use radios? When you are providing a list of options and a selection of any one option is mandatory, we should not allow user to skip the selection. Even when user skips the selection, we want one value by default selected, then better go with what? Radios. So when you are providing some list of options, user should select mandatory any one. Even he don't select, by default one is selected. In that case, the best option is radio. What is the issue with radio? What is the issue with radio? Radios once checked, they cannot be unchecked. How to uncheck the radios? By using mutex or by restarting the process. Yesterday we saw restart the process, right? So here I will give a simple question. So when to use radio buttons? So the point is, if you want to provide a list of options from where user have to select any one. If you want to provide a list of options from where user have to select any one, selection of any one is mandatory. And if user doesn't select any one option, a default option will be used. A default option will be used. If user don't select any one option, a default option will be used. That is the situation for radios. Now, if you know the radios, same like radio, you have checkbox. Checkbox, it is similar to radio, but allows user to check and uncheck the option. You can use for selection of one or multiple. You can use for selection of one or multiple. It is similar to radio, but radios will not allow to uncheck. Checkboxes will allow to uncheck. And generally, these checkboxes are used for providing a list of options from where user can select one or user can select more than one or more than one. That is actually checkbox. Now here we will see a simple syntax. All attributes are similar. Input type is checkbox. So it will have a name, some course. It will have some value. And it will have some checked. And it will have some text like this. You have another name, the value, some .NET like this. So user can choose both. Even they have same name, they don't exhibit mutex. Both can be selected. Mutex will work only for radios. Checkboxes allow the user to select one or multiple options. So you can choose one or more than one. We are going to implement all these in our JavaScript. So that's the reason these are very important for us. In future, not only JavaScript, when you are learning Java, .NET or PHP, Python, server-side programming, there also these are all used regularly. So we will make them work in our JavaScript. So here you see checkbox. I am writing a simple terms and definition like, I am using a data term, some select course. And data definition, we have input type is checkbox. Checkbox have a name, some course, and checkbox have a value Java. And we can put some text Java. Like this, you can have another checkbox and some course. I defined some .NET like this. Okay, let's put a simple BR here. So the line break is defined here. Now these are checkboxes we are having. What is the nature of checkbox? User can select and user can deselect. You don't need mutex. Radios will not have that behavior. Radios have to work with mutex. You can choose one or you can choose more than one. And when you submit, remember these also will submit on as value. If you have to submit any specific, then you have to give the values. If value is not defined, these also submit the same, right? Checkbox submits on as value if value attribute is not defined. Checkbox submits on as value if value attribute is not defined. So if you want the user to select one or multiple, then you can use this. You can see here now when user is selecting, generally by default, if you want anything selected, then you can add an attribute called what? Check. Checked will make it selected. You can have both checked. You can define both options as checked. Both can be checked. Now, in general, some design requirements, they ask this question like how to design a checkbox list, because it is common in websites. In majority websites, if there are many checkboxes, they put a checkbox list and they ask this regularly. How to design a checkbox list. In HTML, we don't have checkbox list. Checkbox list means what? A list of checkboxes user can scroll and select. You remembered we learned how to create a scrollable list. Remembered? Ordered list, unordered list. I showed you how to create a scrollable list. The technique we have to implement. So what is the major answer here is HTML do not have any checkbox list. Do not have any checkbox list. You have to design manually by using CSS overflow. We learned overflow. You have to design manually by using CSS overflow. Already we discussed how to create such overflow. You created a checkbox list. You created a scrollable list. The same thing we have to follow here. And already we learned, so I will put here example C. So we are creating an unordered list. In that list item, first list item is having some Java. Okay, second list item is having some .NET. Another LI is having .NET. Another LI is having some Oracle like this. Another is having, so list item is having like MySQL like this. So we have some options defined here. So some list is added here. Okay. Now I will save this, and this is an unordered list. Unordered list all doesn't require this checked. We will add only one. You can have multiple also, but just roughly I am defining like this. Okay, these are checkboxes. And if so many checkboxes are there, this is .NET. So that is the text, and this is Oracle, and this is MySQL, and this is MongoDB. If so many items are there in the list, we want a scrollable list. Scrollable list, you know how to design. So we need to go to style. First, remove the numbering symbol. Unordered list, list style as what? None. It will remove that. After that, we put a border for this 1 pixel solid gray. We will put some padding as 10 pixel. We will keep width as some 200 pixel. It will keep in this way. 100 pixel, it will be like this. And we define height as 50 pixel. So it is in this way. And what we have to do? Overflow. Overflow is what? Auto. Then it becomes a scrollable list. This is a checkbox list. User can select one or multiple. Later in JavaScript, you can put at the top all. And when user selects that all, it can select all the items below. Such designs we have to manually create. We don't have ready-made designs like that. So there is no ready-made checkbox list. But in majority websites, we need like that. You see in shopping sites, they give filters. They in not only shopping sites, shopping or ticket booking, like trains, bus, they give you checkboxes. They will ask, select filter by price, filter by brand names, filter by ratings. You can choose. That is all multiple scrollable list. That scrollable list is manually designed by using CSS or this is an example for that. I will copy this example here. That's the example for checkbox list. So we have radio buttons and we have checkbox. Here, one interesting point about checkbox is you should know about CSS checked class. So it is a new CSS class used to verify the checked status of any checkbox or radio. These days, we use this very popularly, very regularly. CSS have a class called checked. Actually, earlier, we have to depend on JavaScript to verify whether checkbox is checked or not. Even now also we use the same thing. But for handling simple operations without JavaScript also we can do. We can verify whether it is checked or not by using a CSS class called checked. We have a CSS class checked. For example, see here. Suppose what we are doing is we are creating a design for the form here. Here I am creating a simple div. This we have terms of service like this. And it have a class called container. And here we have dot container. So width is some 150 pixel and height is 100 pixel. And border is 1 pixel solid gray. And some padding is 10 pixel. Actually, this is a container we are having. And this is terms of service, just a box I given. Below that, I will keep another div. Here I will put a checkbox, input type as checkbox. I will give a span, I accept, like this. Now what should happen is, if user is not selecting this checkbox, then I accept should display in red color. And when user selects the checkbox, it should show in green color. means I want to show the success with green color, invalid with red color, depending on this checked. How to verify whether this checkbox is checked or not? Usually we need JavaScript. But now in CSS, they introduced a new option which makes very easy. What you can do is, how to access this checkbox? For that, I will give a class called terms. Terms is a class given for checkbox. We can access the checkbox by using terms. Where is the span? Inside checkbox or adjacent to checkbox? It is adjacent to checkbox. Adjacent is just beside to the checkbox. So here we will write like this. Dot terms. This refers to checkbox. Plus span. This indicates the span which is adjacent to checkbox. Space indicates inside. Plus indicates adjacent. Adjacent means that comes immediately after. So what should be the color of that span? Color will be red. You can see it is red now. And here we will write dot terms. That means checkbox. Colon checked. That means if it is selected, then the span beside should change the color to green. That's it. You see now, when I select this, it will be green. And when I deselect, it will be hidden, red. We can control the appearance by using this. Not only that, if you want, you can do lot of other things, like suppose there is a button. So below this, we will give a button, not only changing color. Here I will put a break and I will put a button here. This button name is submit. Now what should happen is, if user is not selecting the checkbox, this submit button should not display. Submit button should display only when user selects the checkbox. If user is not selecting this, the submit button should not display. You know, several websites, they will not allow you to continue until you accept the terms. There will be a button like continue or something. So sometimes they will disable it and sometimes they will completely hide it. So how to access the button? This button comes after the checkbox. Is it immediately after checkbox? It is not immediately after checkbox. Somewhere after checkbox, but within this container only. Make sure that checkbox and button are both in same container. They are present in same div. Am I right? Don't put this button in outside the div because you cannot access as of now. Initially, what you have to do, put inside. So we will write like this now. Dot terms, that means checkbox, and tilde button. Tilde, this is button. That's how we can access. What is the meaning of plus and what is the meaning of tilde? Plus means immediately after. And tilde means somewhere after. Somewhere after the checkbox, if button is there, display as none. Display as none means it will not show. It will not display. When to show? When it is selected. So dot terms colon what? Checked. Then tilde button should display as block. Display block means below. Display inline means side by side. Okay, now you can see when I select accept, it will show. When I am not selecting, it will not show. That means we can control that by using this technique. So this is actually how we can manage checkbox by using a special class called checked. So we have a checked class. By using that we can handle. So syntactically we can define checkbox colon checked. What effects you want, you can define. Just roughly I given a syntax, that is the class. So checked is a class which verifies whether the checkbox is checked or not. I will give this example for that. This example I will copy for you. In this example, we are just verifying whether it is selected or not. So if it is selected, we are displaying green color and we are showing the button. If not selected, we are changing the color to red and we are displaying hiding the button. That's a simple example of radio and checkbox. So for selecting one or multiple options, you have radio buttons and we have checkbox. Another important in forms, we have a drop down. Another important is drop down. What is the problem with radio and checkbox is these days we don't prefer much of checkboxes and radios, because in mobile like website, in mobile like applications, you see you are designing some website and majority people watch on mobiles. In mobile, selecting checkboxes is difficult. I hope you know, on mobile screen, small screen, some checkboxes you give, user have to select those checkboxes, very difficult. That's the reason these days we are not preferring usage of checkboxes, radios very much. Instead of them, we can go with drop downs and list box. Actually, drop down is nothing but it configures a list of items from where user can select any one. It configures a list of items from where user can select any one. So list is defined by using select element. Items in list are defined by using option element. Items can be grouped by using OPT group. Items can be grouped by using OPT group. These are three things we need. So select is used for creating a drop down and option is used for creating an item in drop down, and OPT group is used for creating a options group. We can create an options group. Let's see how this drop down works. But one problem is there. We will discuss that. So what is that problem? First, we will see what these are. What are these options? Actually, syntax you can write like this: select. Select will have an OPT group with some label. Label as category. And in that you will have an option, some text, some item. And we have another option. This is item. This is item 1, item 2. And we can close this OPT group. and close the select. Option group is not mandatory. If you want to show category wise, then you can try. So this OPT group, this option group, this is optional. OPT group is optional. Without OPT group, you can display. These days, we use these very much because it will be very easy for logically understanding which one they select. If I use radios and checkboxes, we need a lot of conditions. Suppose I want to verify 10 radios and check which one is selected. I need to write some lengthy looping statements. It will be very easy to identify which one they selected if you can provide by using this drop down. So, but what is problem with the drop down? I will show you some points here. Let's say drop down how to create. So drop down HTML. Yeah. So here I'm designing a page and here data list with the data term. Suppose I am giving gender and data definition. This time I am not using radio. I am using a select. And usually select will give an empty drop down like this. It gives an empty drop down in this way. That's an empty drop down. In that you want anything, then you can directly write option. So say choose gender. That is one option it comes. In that we can add other option that is male, another option that is female. Here also user can select any one option from list. These days you will see very less radio buttons used. Why? Because radio buttons are very complex in logic also. I have to write condition if radio 1 is checked, if radio 2 is checked. But now it is easy to identify which one they selected. Actually, what you can do here, this select, we will keep everything in a form because we know that form only can submit. I will just add a button as submit. And this drop down is having a name. Name is what? Gender. Now you see I selected a gender and click on submit. It submits that and shows. So this is used for selecting and used for configuring the options. User can select one. If there are categories, for example, see, I am using another term. So select some product. So here we are having a data definition and select. And here we have an option as choose a product. So here we need to choose one product. Now products have categories. Then you can try like this, OPT group. What is the OPT group label? Here we are adding a label for this OPT group. What is the label for this OPT group? Here we are using a label. What is the label? Suppose this is having some electronics. For electronics, what is the option? In this we have an option. What is it? Delhi. We have an option. What is it? Oh, sorry, electronics. Na? That means we say what? Televisions. Suppose we say as what? Mobiles. And another option is what? Watches. And you want another group, then you create another OPT group. And this group will have label as footwear. And we are creating an option. This is some casuals. and this is having some sneakers like this. Now you can see a drop down is going to display in this way with categories. OPT group is used for displaying a list of categories here. You can choose any category and you can select. So the above drop down is not having any categories. So that is not mandatory to have category. If you have categories, then you have to manage by using OPT group. Option group is not compulsory. If there are several categories of options, then you can try with OPT group. So we have three options here. We can use select, we can use option, and we can use an option group. Here, very important is every option comprises of three attributes. Every option comprises of three attributes. Every option have three attributes. So one is selected, another one is disabled, another one is value. These are the three important attributes for every option. So whenever you are configuring a drop down, and in the drop down when you are defining options, every option can have three attributes. What are those? Selected, disabled, and value. What is the difference is nothing but, suppose this is a drop down. Whenever page opens, I want some watches selected. I want that watches as selected. Because you see sometimes what happens, you visited some website, in that you selected a city. It will remember your city. Next time when you open, automatically it will load that city. That means every time it will not ask your city. Previously which city you have chosen, that city it will use next time by identifying your location details. Usually how it selects a city automatically. That means from the list, it should select one automatically. For that, actually we use an option. What is it? For this watches option, we can give selected. Selected indicates that that option is selected by default. Now you see, whenever we load the page, automatically it is selected. So by default, one option is selected. You may choose any another option, but whenever you refresh, automatically it will be watches selected. If you are giving selected for more than one, that means because you can select only one in a drop down, and you given selected for more than one, only last one will be selected. Only the last one will be selected. So selected must be defined only for one. What is the purpose of selected? The selected indicates by default this option will be selected. We can change this dynamically using our JavaScript. Later in JavaScript we can change. In one situation, one option selected, in another situation, another option selected, we can change that. So selected indicates which option is selected. Another one, disabled indicates user cannot select that option. Temporarily, you can disable selection of any option. Why? Because sometimes you see some products are out of stock. Some products are out of stock. If any product is out of stock, what happens? Will you remove that city? Next time, after few days, that may be in stock. That's the reason we don't remove. What we do, we temporarily disable. How you disable? It's simple. If you want to disable any particular, suppose I want to disable mobiles, then I will just put disabled. Then you can see that from the list, I cannot select these mobiles. It is not selectable. So it will be in the list, but it is not selectable. That you can define by using this. So what is selected? it makes the option by default selected. What is disabled, it will not allow to select. So selected purpose is it keeps the option selected. It keeps the option selected on page load. And disabled, it will not allow to select any option. It will not allow to select any option. These are two basic things. One is selected, another one disabled. One more is their value. Value is nothing but generally what happens is sometimes what we show in drop down, the same we will not submit. What we show and what we submit is different. For example, you see now here, I am selecting, this is the drop down. What is the drop down? Gender. This drop down name. What is the name? As product. I am giving product as the name. And I will select here televisions and submit. And here I will select gender and submit. And you can see product is televisions. And what is the gender? Gender is male. So what it is currently submitting, it is submitting whatever you are currently watching. That means what is the text of this one? Watches. What it is going to submit? Watches. But sometimes we don't want like that. What we show is different. What we submit is different. For example, you see all the flight ticket booking, train ticket booking. They will actually ask enter train number. But we don't know the train numbers. Suppose they ask like select airport name. And we don't know the original shortcut name of airport. Then what we do is we select a city and automatically it will submit that airport name. Right? That means you see some websites like Make My Trip and all. So Make My Trip and all here. When you are using these websites like Make My Trip and others, suppose you are searching some flights and all, you are searching for flights and all. Usually here, later we will use, yeah. You see here, it is asking the names, Delhi, Mumbai and all. Actually, the Mumbai shortcut name is BOM. That means that is the original name actually. That means for Delhi, you see here, these are the reference names actually. In their database, every airport name is accessed and stored with this code name actually. But this code name is confusion for users. This code name is not clear for users. Then for user, we give a complete name. But when they submit, it will not submit this name. It will submit this shortcut name. Now the question is, how you can show something and submit something else? You are showing something and you are submitting something else. How it is possible? For example, you see here, I am writing here option. Let's say at the top, I am giving here airport and data definition. So here we will put a select and we will give an name as some airport. And here we will put an option. And option is suppose choose airport. And here we are defining an option. This is New Delhi. So New Delhi, some define as suppose international airport, like this. And another option is Mumbai. Mumbai, some international airport, like this. We are having some options. But when user submits, it should not submit that. When user submits New Delhi and Mumbai, it should not submit this text. As of now, you see what it will submit. As of now, it is going to submit New Delhi International Airport. That means whatever you defined as text, the same will be submitted. But we don't want to submit that. Then here you can give a value. Value is del. And this value is BOM. That is the value. Now see what happens. User selects Mumbai and clicks on submit. Then it will submit BOM. And when user selects New Delhi and submits, then it will submit del. What you show is different. What you submit is different. Every time this is not like that. Sometimes what we do, what we show, what the same we submit. In that case, you don't need a value. But when you are displaying something and submitting something else, then better you need to configure by using which option? Value. What is value? It defines the value to submit. It defines the value to submit when option is selected. So when any option is selected, what is the value to submit? That you have to configure by using value. So syntactically, we define like this. We have an option with selected. Suppose we given some Delhi. And we have an option disabled. This is some like Mumbai. We have an option value is equal to DEL. And we say some New Delhi, some airport, something like this. What you see is New Delhi airport, but it will submit the value as what? Then. So every option have three important attributes. One is selected, another one disabled, another one value. So this is a drop down. How we can configure the drop down and define the drop down. So this example I will give. Into classroom, I will post this example. This is a sample example. Here I created these three drop downs. One is airport, another one gender, another one is what? Product. These are the drop downs we created, and we are submitting different values using them, right? Yeah. This is the example for that. Now here we have another important note is every select and option element is RC data type. What does it means? I told you 5 types of HTML elements are there. What are those? Normal elements, void elements, RC data elements, raw text elements, and foreign. So select and option element is every select and option element is RC data type. RC data type means, that means you cannot present images or symbols. So it is only for plain text and special characters. You can have some special characters, but you cannot have any symbols or images. Drop down is not allowed with any type of images or symbols. You can display only plain text. When you see drop downs, not only that, already we know images, symbols, RC data type means what? It will not allow markup inside option. You know already RC data type means it will not allow markup. I told you. We cannot use markup inside an option. It is used with only plain text. We can display with only plain text. For example, what does that means? What is RC data type means? For example, you see here, let's create this. So we are having a simple drop down, and in this we are having an option, some choose city, and here we have an option. In that bold I given Delhi. In that another option italic I given as Hyderabad. Now Delhi is in bold, Hyderabad in italics. These are bold and italic elements, and you can see here it is not going to display. That means Delhi is not in bold and Hyderabad is not in italics. That means it will not allow any kind of markup. Suppose I want to change the font style, I want to change the color, then you have to apply by using styles. Not only that, it will not allow any kind of symbols. For example, you have seen we designed a Netflix screen, am I right? In this Netflix screen, when we designed, right side you see there is a drop down with a globe symbol. This is not HTML. Because HTML drop down will not allow such symbols. This is designed by using Bootstrap. We have Bootstrap drop downs. This is not a HTML drop down. This is not an HTML drop down, because HTML drop down will not allow symbols. It will not allow symbols. Suppose you see here, what we are doing, we are linking our Bootstrap icons. Link relation is what? Style sheet href. It is in what? Node modules, Bootstrap icons, font, Bootstrap icon, CSS. Suppose here we are having a span with the class BI and BI globe. And you can see there is a globe symbol here. But this is not inside drop down, it is outside. For example, I will shift this span from here and I will keep beside this choose city. Beside the choose city we given it. And you cannot see that. You cannot have any symbols or icons in a drop down. It is only for plain text. You can keep outside, but you cannot keep anything inside. Then if you want to put some symbols and all, then you have to design that by using, you can do that by using Bootstrap. By using CSS Bootstrap you can do. Another important is, you can have some special characters. You see Netflix people have given here something like language. And here they have given English. And here you can present special characters. Special character means, I think you know already, Google have a Google Translate. You know Google Translate is there. In Google Translate, in English I am typing and in Hindi it is translated. You can select different languages. And I selected German, it will translate into German. German, English and other type of language it will translate. Here I want in Hindi, then it will display that Hindi. You can copy these characters and you can go to your page and you can paste that character here. We can have different languages displaying like that. You can just copy and you can paste from the Google Translate. So now you can see you have these two options here. We can display different languages, special characters, but symbols and icons and formats are not allowed. Suppose you want to change the font style, you want to change bold, italic, then you have to apply by using styles, That is very important. So you cannot present images or symbols. It is only for plain text and special characters, and it will not allow any kind of markups. That's very important. And if you want, you can define some special options by using the translate and other symbols, right? This is all about the drop down. And one more important point is, because all these are questions asked, you cannot design a nested drop down. Generally, people ask, I want a drop down inside another drop down. That means multi-level drop downs. It's not possible. That is also done by using Bootstrap. In Bootstrap and CSS, you can learn how to design such nested drop down. You cannot have a drop down inside drop down. Because sometimes people ask, like, I want nested drop downs. Nested drop downs cannot be designed with HTML. You see websites have nested home in home, electronics in electronics, mobiles in mobiles, some Realme, something like that. You can't have nested drop downs. Huh? This is the concept of drop down. And very simple, if you know drop down, so list box is also same. If you know drop down, list box is nothing special. It is same. Only difference is a list box allows the user to select one or multiple options from a group of choices. And a drop down is transformed into list box by using following attributes. We have two important attributes for that. One is multiple, another one is size. So drop down and list box same. Only the difference is list box allows you to select more than one. Actually, you have defined a select, then it becomes a drop down. If you define select with the size, so then it becomes a list box. Or if you define select with multiple, then also it becomes a list box. That is the difference. Rest of all options are same. That means the options, the option groups, everything is same. Just you can change your drop down into a list box by adding the attribute size or by adding the attribute multiple. What is difference between drop down and list box is drop down allows only one to select. List box will allow more than one to select, but for that it requires size and multiple. You need to define them. Just your ordinary drop down is converted into a list box with two attributes, one size, another one multiple. Let's see here. Same, just you go to this one. Suppose I'm adding a simple select and I will say here option. This is some Delhi. So option Hyderabad. Yep. So option some Mumbai. Like this, we are adding something. And you see now, this is actually a drop down. This is a drop down. I just keep a heading as select city. And this is a drop down. What you have to do is for this drop down, just set size as 2, then it becomes a list box. It becomes a list box. That's it. If you remove that size, if you remove the size, it is a drop down. And if you mention the size 3 or 4 or something, it becomes a list box. The scroll bar depends on height and the number of items. Now, just before this, we discussed one point. Can we create a checkbox list like this? That means in drop down, in select, can we add checkboxes? Will select allow markup? Then how you'll add? That means you are creating an option. In this option, can you use input type as checkbox? Is it valid? It is not valid. That means you cannot create a checkbox list like this. That's the reason I showed you previous. How to create a checkbox list we just designed today. What we have to do, we have to use an ordered list or unordered list. We have to set overflow, right? Directly in option, we cannot create because option will not allow any markup. So you can make it as a list box, and this list box user can select any one as of now. If you want user to select more than one, just add one more option. What is it? Multiple, then user can select more than one. You can use control key to select, you can use shift key to select, or you can click and drag to select. And if it is having name, it can submit all of them. Let's put a form. In the form here, we put a name as what? City, and user is selecting Delhi and Mumbai. And suppose there is a button, we will add some button as submit, and you can see you selected Delhi, Mumbai, submit. It is going to submit those values. Everything is same like drop down. Only the point is drop down is transformed into list box. All other attributes are same. So this is the example for that. So here note is you can configure list box with multiple attribute to enable selection of more than one option. So if you define size, it will convert to list box, but you cannot select more than one. To select more than one, you have to convert it into list box, and you need to mention which option? Multiple. If you mention multiple, then it is allowing to select. So this is two important elements we are having. One is list box, another one is a drop down. So drop down can be converted into list box by using two attributes, size, another multiple. Let me copy this, just roughly example for you. So for selection, what are the options we are having? 4. So for selection, what are the options we are having? We have radio, we have a checkbox, we have a drop down, and we have an list box. These are for the selection we learned, right? Next important, we are having the elements like text area. We have text area. Text area is nothing but it is used for multi-line input. It is used for multi-line input. Actually, text box allows only single line input. Hence, text area is required to accept input in multiple lines. Suppose you are taking input of comments, you are taking input of some message and a lengthy message in more than one line. Text box will not allow more than one line. You have to do that by using text area. Text area is used for displaying text which can be entered in more than one line. So it have syntax, text area, and your text optional. Text area close. Area close. Your text is optional. If you don't give any text, it is empty text box. If you give text, it will be with text, whatever text you define. Generally, here, how that works, for example, seeing, I am adding a text area like this, data list, data term, I am adding here. Suppose your comments and data definition, I am giving this in a form. Yeah. And we have a button as submit. You see, I am giving input type as text. Then usually text box will be like this. You can type only single line. I am typing something inside, it will be one line. If I put enter, if I hit enter, what will happen? It will submit. It will not come to next line. That means it submits the value. It will not come to next line. So if you want more than one line, then instead of text box, you can use text area. Text area will display like this. Here you can enter multiple lines of text. It will put a scroll bar automatically. If you want to increase the height of text area, then what you can do is you can use the attributes to change the size of text area. Text area. You can use the attributes. We have two attributes, rows and calls. So it is not width and height. How many rows and how many columns you need to mention. Rows and columns. Based on that, the size will be defined. That means syntactically, you configure like this, text area, and we have text area. We have rows. Rows is equal to 4. Calls is equal to some 40. Like that you can give. That is, this is nothing but width and height only, but width and height is not mentioned in width and height. It is defined in rows and columns. And remember, this is not limit of rows and columns. This is only size. You can enter more than 4 rows, but the default size is how much? 4. That means you can see now, to increase the size of this text area, actually we can simply mention the text area with rows is 4, calls is 40. Now the text area size will increase like this. You can add more. Height and width of text area is controlled by using this option. Now sometimes we put some text directly inside it. Just like you see, I am adding terms of service. And here I am using text area. In that rows is how much? 4. And calls is 40. And here I am giving our terms of service, something. And you can see that by default some text will be there. And whatever text is by default present, you can modify that. but I don't want to allow to modify, just they can read. Suppose you put some lengthy paragraph there. I will do one thing. I will copy these lines of content and I will put this here. Our terms of service, and here I am copying all the content. I am adding all the content. Some lines we have defined. And we can simply put here as disabled. Disabled means it will not allow to submit and allow to modify. So user can only read. I just kept randomly some information. Usually it will be continuous information because I kept random here. So usually it will be a continuous paragraph because it have continuous paragraph. Like this, if I define a continuous paragraph information inside it, then you can see it displays in this way. We can read, but we cannot modify anything. We cannot modify. We can just only read because we given an option as what? Disabled. Disabled. So text area is used in two ways. You can allow user to enter text. You can keep some text and freeze it so that user can just only read, right? For that, you need to just keep the option as what? Disabled. Disabled. So another point is you can make the text area read only or disabled in status, in state. So you can make the text area read only or disabled in state so that text is not editable, right? It is not editable. Then what is difference between read only and disabled? Both will not allow to edit the text. What is difference? You remembered we learned difference, na? What is difference between read only and disabled? Read only will allow to submit. Disabled will not allow to submit. You want to just show some text, then you can use it, right? Another important point here is text area is RC data type. That means it will not allow markup. That means you cannot put any paragraph, you cannot put any bold elements. It is only for displaying plain text. It is again RC data type. So it will not allow any markup inside. It is used for displaying only plain text. So wherever you want to take more than one line input, then better you can go with what? Text area, right? Next, another important in the elements, we have a meter element. We have a meter element. Actually, these days we use this regularly. This is a new element in HTML5. So it is used to display grade meter in a web page. It is used to display a grade meter in web page, which is very common in websites. You will see that grade meter regularly. So it comprises of attributes. We have min, we have max, we have value, we have low and high. These are the attributes of a meter. And syntactically, meter displays like this. Meter have min, max, value, like this we can define. So low is 0, some high is also 0. What are those low and high? I will show you. That is how we define a meter. So meter is used for displaying the grade meters, and you can see these grade meters regularly. For example, let's say here we will go to this website. We have the website Flipkart. Let's take some mobiles and let's say take some mobile detail. And actually the mobile detail, you can see these are meters. This is meter. Those bars are meters. Meter can have different colors also. Those are all meters. That's a new element in HTML5. Right side, that circle that you are watching, that is a different one. We design with CSS. Meter is not like that. Meter is just a bar. We can turn it to vertical, horizontal bars by using our CSS orientations. But this is the meter, how you display. For example, let's see here. You can create like that, because for that you need link relation style sheet, and href is node modules, bootstrap icons. Yeah, let's create a simple container here. This is related to rating container, and in the rating container, let's add div. This div is having one box. This is having another box, and in this left, they are having 4.6. So 4.6 we will keep as a span. So 4.6, and we will put another span as class bi what star fill. That's the 4.6, and this is class as rate. And let's put some style in this. Wherever rating is there, I will keep display as what grid. Grid template columns I will divide into some 3 fractions, and 2 is enough, and 10 fractions roughly. And now you can see wherever rate is present, we will give font size as 50 pixel, and this is what it looks like. And this is the rate we are having. This is the original size, right? And I don't want the star to have that size. Oh, it's okay. Now what we will do, below this we will keep a div. So we are adding some 5,000 ratings and 1,000 reviews. Like this, we are adding some content below. Now beside it, right side, alignments and all, we can do it later. Right side, you can see they are using, I am creating an unordered list item. In that list item, so let's see what they have given. 5 star. Okay, here we are having a span, class bi what star fill, and this is 5. After 5 star, we will put a meter element. Meter, after meter element, so we will keep another span, and actually these are spans. This is again a span. Okay, and in this span we define some people, how many. And you see, generally a meter looks like this. A meter looks like this. It's an ordinary meter. Let's keep the width and height for this. For unordered list, what we will do, list style as none, and wherever meter is there, width of meter I will keep as 150 pixel, and height of meter I will give as 20 pixel. Then you can see the meter looks little large. right? And wherever the right panel is there, unordered list. For that, I will give font size as 40 pixel or 30 pixel enough. And you see, I'm adding little large. So I think 20 is enough. Yeah. Now you see it is green color na. So how that green color comes actually? For meter width is 250. That looks like this. Green color is nothing but meter will have value. Minimum is 1, maximum is 5, and value also how much? 5. Then you can see it will get green. Right? That means now we are using another list item, and this is 4-star rating. Minimum is 1, maximum is 5, value is 2. 2 means it will display, I define different number, and 2 means it will display like this. Minimum you can give any number, maximum any number. That means actually how it does, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, and this is how much maximum? 5. The same way 1 to 100, 1000, 10,000, anything you can give. Even you can define fractions. We can configure fractions. So every list item I will give margin bottom as 20 pixel, then it will give some gap. Actually, you have colors also. For example, colors you can apply like this. You have some 1 rating. How to define color is minimum is 1, maximum is 5, value is also 5. Then it will give a green color na. So green color we given, and important here we say low. Low is how much? Low is 2, and high is 4. Then you can see it will be yellow color. And very important is, remember, if gap between 2 and 4 is more, how to give more gap? Suppose this I will give 1.2, okay na? And this I given as 4.2. Then it will be, let's say, more easy size for you. Min is 1, max is how much? 100, so that you can understand value is 100. This will give which color? Green color it will give. Now I will give here low. Low is 20, and high is, suppose I given as 80. We have more gap between low and high. Then you see it will be yellow. We will reduce the gap. I will give 60 and 80. Low high gap is very less. Then it will be red. If you are increasing the gap between low and high, it will turn to yellow. That means I am changing to 40-80. 40-80, it will be yellow. I am decreasing, that is 60-80. Then it will be like this. You can put different colors. You can keep red or you can keep as yellow. That means how you keep here. Suppose I will copy this. I will say some 3-star rating. I will define this as what 40. Then you can see this is in different yellow. You can keep these kind of things by using meter. Meter is used for these kind of options. Actually, these days we see this regularly to display different grade meters. This will be controlled by your JavaScript. Your JavaScript will control this. That means when you are applying some rating value, automatically the color will be changing. Automatically the value will be increasing. Suppose more people are giving rating, this green will increase. Dynamically it increases, decreases. With JavaScript, we generally do that. This is a basic example of how you can configure and use a meter. Right here, what is the basic statistics here? So if low and high are 0, then color is what? Green. So if low and high difference is less, then color is red. So if low and high difference is more, then which color will come? Yellow or gold color that will come. If low and high you haven't written or they are 0, then it will be green. You written low and high with less difference, then it will be red. More difference, then it will be yellow. These are the only colors we can apply through meters. Ready-made, these are the colors we can define using meters. That's the option you need to define. So syntactically, we have a meter. So min is 1. So max is 100 and value is 100, but low is equal to some 60, high is equal to some 80. That gives a red, like that. These are the basic things like a meter. Once we know all these, we can put in different examples. So this is one simple concept. And once you know this, now two more elements are there. We have progress and we have buttons that we will see in tomorrow's session. Right? Tomorrow, we are going to finish these two elements and designs also. That means we will learn some form designs in tomorrow's session. We will take some website examples and we create them, right? Tomorrow we'll continue. Okay, right.